What's happening, everyone? After a pulsating weekend of FA Cup action, we are back to focus on the Premier League. If we are focusing on the Premier League, we have to focus on one club. That club is Tottenham Hotspur, and therefore, there is only one man to talk to. That man is Flavio Briatore, and I am delighted and honoured to say that he has found the time to join us to discuss all things Tottenham Hotspur. Flav, how are you, sir?
Always got time for you, Rory. I'm very well, mate. Thank you, all things considered.
Mate, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. It's a fascinating time at Tottenham, and I honestly can't believe where we are. I can't believe what I'm about to say to kick us off, but I honestly believe this to be true. I think that Tottenham, in order to survive, need to sack the manager that they have just appointed. Igor Tudor needs to be confined to the ash heap of history, and you need to appoint somebody who will keep you up. Is there any sense in that?
Yeah, I've been turning this question over and over again on my I think since Palace's third goal went in before half-time, and have they made a massive mistake with this guy? You can understand the reasoning being that, whenever he's gone into a football club at short notice, he has always, without exception, turned the club around. Every single time. You just have to look at it. So, he went to Juve, they had to qualify Champions League, he did it. Won 7, drew 3 and lost 1 of the first 10 games. Did the exact same thing at Lazio. And saved Udinese from relegation twice. So it made sense on paper, but as we know, doing it in the Premier League as opposed to doing it in a league you're completely comfortable and understand, it's just like a different sport might as well be. So the question isn't whether or not Igor Tudor is the right man to save us from relegation. He probably isn't. The question is how on earth did he end up? How on earth have we ended up in this situation where he is our manager? We could potentially have a third manager in a Premier League season. And generally, when that happens, teams get relegated. They don't survive.
Now, given that we're talking about Tottenham, I thought I would bring you this amazing Tottenham offer brought to you by Betano. They have a massive game in Madrid on Tuesday night. Now, it's not looking good, but if you are a Tottenham optimist, I have a great bet boost for you. Tottenham to win or draw. They get the draw. Solanke to have at least one shot on target, and Richarlison to have at least one shot on target. That is boosted from 24-5 to 11-2. And if you really want to do me a favour, please go through my link. The link is betano.co.uk/Rory. You can scan the QR code that's on screen now, or click the link that's in the description below. That's right, sign up using my code and you will get £40 in free bets when you bet a tenner. Anyway, let's get back to see what Flav has to say. The thing is, Flav, as well, I'm not really casting aspersions on Igor Tudor. The truth is, I don't know how good at management he is. He might be fine. He might work out to be a really capable manager. The problem is you need wins now.
Yeah.
I don't think people are necessarily acknowledging the magnitude of Tottenham Hotspur being relegated. It's beyond. People go, once in a generation. It's not even that. I think since 1950, Tottenham spent one season out of the top flight.
It's inconceivable,
this
really.
Is truly historic. It's inconceivable, absolutely. And it feels like it's going to happen.
Yeah. You look at the momentum of West Ham and Forest. The results are not necessarily there, but the performances are, and the results will probably come. Whereas the performances at Spurs are not there at all. We look lost, and I think maybe the reason why Igor Tudor isn't perhaps the right man is because of how much he's tried to change. He's had 3 or 4 different formations in the first 3 games. Players playing out of position. I know you have no time for Conor Gallagher for good reason, based on his decision making, right? But when he was captaining of Chelsea under the latter part of Pochettino's tenure, he was good, right? He was a decent player. At Spurs, he's been a non-existent, almost like he shouldn't even be on the pitch. He's been that bad, right? And it's not.
Do you know what as well, Flav? It sounds extreme, right? It sounds extreme. When you go. Or when I said to you, I think he needs to go, Tudor. It sounds extreme because it's 3 games. Like you pointed out there, 3 games. It sounds crazy. Yeah. But 3 games is 25% of Igor Tudor's time to save the club.
I know. Yeah, it's scary. So that's why if it has to happen, it has to happen now. We've got the Champions League Champions League tie with Atletico Madrid to get in the way of that campaign to save Tottenham from relegation. So he'll probably get those games in knowing that we have no right to go through on that. In some weird perverse way we may end up going through. I don't know how that'll ever happen, but football does change things. And obviously he's got Liverpool away. If he loses against Atletico in Madrid and then loses at Anfield, That's 5 losses on the bounce. You have to try something else because you're rocketing down. But I just want to go back to what you were saying there, Rory, about how inconceivable and crazy this situation is. It's almost like if Spurs do go down, it's kind of, in terms of performance, it's on like a level of Leicester winning the league in terms of how weird, odd, and unexpected it would be. Perhaps not quite the same, but on that, it's certainly in the similar ballpark. You know, Spurs turned over the 9th most amount of money in the world in world football. 9th
And in world football.
For that to be, it was around between 550 to 600 million pounds. For that amount
I think
of money.
Therefore, Flav, it would be the biggest shock. Like, you know, when you said about Leicester winning the league, I've always seen that, and I still do, by the way, as like the greatest achievement in football.
Yeah.
And I've always seen it as the most unlikely achievement. I think it is the best Premier League title win ever and will forever be unmatched. But in terms of a bigger shock, this is bigger. The team with the ninth most amount of money, the 9th largest revenue, being relegated. It's actually unfathomable.
Right. And so what has gone wrong? Like, who's responsible? And it isn't just the players. There is some decision-making that's happened behind the scenes, whether that be at the Lewis family, whether that be for the last 5 years of decision-making from Daniel Levy, or whether it be bringing in or sacking him with no real plan in place in order to how to run a football club. So all of those things could be true, and none of them could also be true because we'll never really know. But we've, talking on our podcast and the various bits that I do, I've kind of come to a kind of conclusion that it was years of eventual mismanagement and football, really, the world of football leaving him behind in Daniel Levy, where we are at this position, where he was forced to go, where having underinvested in terms of wage and not necessarily transfer fees, but certainly in wages, has just left us in a position where the quality of our squad is nowhere near good enough. And I think merely because they play in a Spurs shirt, they get boosted up to be thought of as better players than they actually are. And, you talk to Spurs fans, and a lot of fans are guilty of this as well, Rory, right, is that you always think your club, your players are better than they probably are. You got Arsenal fans, when they're interviewed how many PSG players were getting their team last year before their Champions League tie, they said they wouldn't take any of them, right? All fans are guilty of doing that, but it is weak, our team. The drop-off from the first 11 to what we've had to play with injuries is gargantuan. And that's because the very best players don't want to come to Tottenham because they won't enter a conversation because the wages aren't on offer. And that's down to Daniel Levy's setup and his ideas, and was always going to head this way. Not necessarily relegation, that should never even been on the table. But complete underachievement and mediocrity is the result of paying half of what Arsenal do in wages.
What do you think, though, Flav? Do you think you go down? Like, we can talk about the sort of failings of Levy, and I think that you're completely justified in doing so. I think that the frustrations that Tottenham fans have with the Lewis family are completely founded. I think that they're completely fair, and I can understand even though he's only been there 3 games, I can understand the frustration with Igor Tudor. He is getting it wrong. But however wrong it's all been done, however poorly this recipe has been concocted, mate, you're not the 3rd worst team in the league.
No, but it isn't as simple as that. It's about motivation. It's about morale. It's about your captain coming out and saying he's been lied to. This is just 6-7 months after signing a brand new 4-year contract and then made club captain. He's coming out and going, these people are telling lies. And you think about, what is that? Or what is he being told? And it's probably a collection of all of the things that was spun to him, that this is what the club are going to become, this is what we're going to do, and he hasn't seen any of it. And he's the most influential man in the dressing room. Like, I've got it on really good authority, almost guaranteed authority, that players are intimidated by Romero. Like, he has that aura in the changing room. They listen to what he says. He is, by all intents and purposes, the captain, the man that they listen to more over everybody else. And he's the one coming out with messaging that says that the club have lied. So what are these players hearing? So I'm sort of round the houses way of answering your question here is that it's not just about quality. We're not the 3rd worst team in the league if it's just played on paper, but football isn't played like that, as you know. And morale and change of managers and change of direction, sporting directors leaving mid-season. It's all of that is the result you'll end up seeing on the pitch. So we shouldn't be going down. We shouldn't be in this conversation, but we are for a reason. And to just say we're too good to go down is foolhardy.
Too good to go down is too good to go down. I mean, I know that I'm drawing on an example from years ago, but do you remember obviously I know the Dennis Law back here. Manchester United went down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So too good to go down. West Ham United with an amazing team. Trevor Sinclair, the Joe Cole, great side. 42 points went down. Leeds United, despite very recently being in a Champions League semi-final against Valencia, went down. Tottenham Hotspur would be more shocking, certainly in my lifetime, than any other relegation. But the theory of too good to go down doesn't exist. Are you confident? Because cards on the table, I know you know this, but I want you to go down. The reason I think that you won't is because I feel like you only need 3 wins or 2 wins even. Two wins, 2.5 wins.
Keep us up.
Yeah, 7 points. I feel like it's so salvageable. You're in a terrible state now, but it is so salvageable.
I think, Rory, you think it's salvageable because you want it to happen, right? So you're looking for, of course they get out because it's something you want to happen. That's what it's like as fans, football club fans. Having watched Spurs, I take no pleasure in talking about this at all. In fact, I never thought I'd have to have this conversation. We haven't won a game in all year, and we're in March. We are, in terms of points amassed, by far the worst team in the league. So, to me, having watched every minute of Spurs since the turn of the year when we last beat Palace in December, I can't see where we'll get 1 win. Let alone, I can't even see us getting a point at the moment. So, unless something changes and they make either Tudor suddenly figures everything out, or they bring in someone who can just go, you guys are good players, we're going to play you in the correct positions, we're going to have a go and see what happens. Because it's overcomplicated. Like, you know when you're looking at it, Rory, right? And you every fan of every club listening to this will know this to be the truth, where you think you have an understanding of a player's best position. And the minute you see, and it consistently becomes a truth, that players are played out of position, it's a problem. Like, we set up against Fulham in a 4-4-2 with 4 central midfielders across that 4, so midfield 4, and Gallagher as our width, offering us our width. It's not what he does. And then you've got another opportunity where you've got Sousa, our new Brazilian left back, very young, very raw, but there's something there, right? If you're playing a back 3 and you've got your wing backs, you have a balance there, right? So you've got Sousa who plays on the left and Pedro Porro is one of the best crosses in the league. Utilise that, but no, instead he plays Porro as a part of the back 3 and puts Gray on the right, and you're like, it's just, someone needs to come in and just go, where do you see yourself on this pitch, and just listen to the players and allow them to play. I don't know, man.
Do you know what you've just said there? I know the answer. I genuinely know the answer. I felt like I knew the answer anyway, but listening to what you just said there about making sure that the players play where they want to play, players feel happy with the system, players comfortable. I do know the answer, and I think that this answer keeps you up. I thought it before you even made that point, but I certainly think it now. The problem is it's the Cheltenham Festival this week, so you can't do it just yet. But after Cheltenham, you know what you do. You know where I'm going, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Harry Redknapp. Is he? How? I mean, I know he's into his horses. He's got horses running in the Gold Cup, isn't he?
Oh yeah. He's got like I'm undoubtedly gonna have a go on Harry Redknapp's horse. Like I love. I love the Cheltenham Festival. Yeah, well, I mean he had a winner last year, but yeah, this year Jukebox Man, I'm going for it. I am undoubtedly going for it.
Well, this isn't Jukebox Man, is it? Well, we're a football club on the brink of disaster. So if it's got to be Harry Redknapp, he's got to forget about bloody Cheltenham and come and save us. Although he won't really, because it's.
But look, after Cheltenham, and also I'm being facetious about Cheltenham.
No, he would definitely not join us during Cheltenham. You know how much more time there? No, he wouldn't. you know how Spursy it is, Rory? The fact we've got to wait for a fucking racehorse competition to end before we can get someone.
Yeah, I do. I totally get it. But look, I think Harry Redknapp, and I know that there'll be people listening to this now, Flav. I'm sure you get cast with the same aspersion. We're nostalgia merchants, right? We're not progressive. We're not. Yeah. We don't necessarily appreciate the brilliance of a Russell Martin because we're always acknowledging the brilliance of a Harry Redknapp. But I'm convinced Harry Redknapp gets you 3 wins. I'm convinced that Harry Redknapp keeps you up. I mean, Clive Allen, who was Harry Redknapp's assistant in what? How long ago was it?
Yeah, 2010, 11. 2010,
2011. Yeah. Right. Nearly 2 decades ago, Clive Allen is still at the club. Ledley King is still at the club.
Yeah.
There is nobody in the world that would convince me that Harry Redknapp doesn't keep you up.
Yeah, I think I absolutely disagreed with you. Like, if it, before Tudor was appointed, and I didn't know he would be there. I just thought too old, too out of touch. Players won't listen to him. But I think he's our last shot here, right? And he can get the younger players, the people that are younger than him, that are at the club, like perhaps bring Ryan Mason to talk to the players in the way that they understand. But Redknapp essentially brings in that kind of unity. I think you might be right, and it's shocking, really. Yeah, I just think.
Do you want him? What do you want? What do you want? If you were making the decision, do you want Tudor out now? Say you could make the decision.
Yeah. If I could click my fingers and Redknapp would be available, then yes, I would just make the change now because you've seen nothing in the games. Even that Palace game, right? Even though we went 1-0 up and then literally within 3 minutes Van der Ven was sent off and a penalty was given. But even before that, they had like 80% possession. It was terrible. It was rubbish. So, I think Redknapp in would be something. But really, when you think about this, is this a short-term fix that perhaps won't be remedied? If we stay up, we've still got massive problems. You got Daniel. If you believe the reports, Venkatesham. There are some people suggesting that Venkatesham isn't actually in control, and the Lewises are getting much more involved in the running of the football club. That is terrifying. They are businessmen.
Flav, do you know what I saw?
What?
Do you know what I saw about this? And this blew my mind. You might know more about this, right? Put in a really prominent position at Tottenham was the Lewis's son-in-law.
Yeah. That Vivian Lewis's son-in-law, David Busher. Yeah.
Like what are the chances of the best man for the job in the whole world? The best man for the job happens to have married your daughter.
Yeah, no, exactly right.
It's like nepotism at its finest, right?
Yeah, and the result of that kind of nepotism is alarming, right? If his job is to come in here and just, in terms of look after the interests of the Lewis family, then he would have a role on the board and you'd understand why he was there, right? Because he has to know what their asset, if you want to look at it like that, is worth, what is being done within the football club to ensure its safety, because that directly impacts how much their asset is worth, right? The Lewis family, Tottenham is rooted to be worth somewhere between 3 and 4 billion pounds, right? In its entire portfolio is around 6 billion, right? Which means half of their entire portfolio is this football club. That wasn't the case when they bought it. It was a tiny percentage of Enix's interests, right? So now that it suddenly becomes massive, it's grown. Daniel Levy did an incredible job increasing the value. But what we've got here, and again, these are rumours. We don't know if they're true. I don't want to get in trouble for saying too much, but this guy, the son-in-law of Vivian Lewis, and essentially the main decision maker at Tottenham now, he was the one who said we need to sack Thomas Frank. Apparently, Venkatesham was going, we don't sack Thomas Frank, not yet. It's fine. We just keep hold of him. There was now a strong recommendation from Enoch that we sack Thomas Frank. That means, even though he was probably correct in this instance, that he's making footballing decisions at the club with absolutely no qualification at all. And it's that type of infrastructure behind the scenes that leads to a club the size of Tottenham having to have this conversation about relegation. And the sooner it's sold, I think the better, because we know now that... Do you know who Amanda Staveley is? And she head up the PIF.
Newcastle United. Yeah.
Correct, yeah. So she's done with that, and she has been done for a long, long time. Her and her husband essentially front up consortiums or bodies of interested parties who want to buy football clubs. That's what they do. And then once it's done, they walk away. She's not a chairman. She's not a decision maker. All she does is create the capital, get the people together, and ensure a deal goes ahead. Daniel Levy spoke to Simon Jordan. You've probably seen the clip where Simon Jordan says briefly when they met on the plane, Daniel Levy doesn't believe the money is out there to buy Tottenham Hotspur at the value that they want it to be at. Amanda Staveley now has been heard and directly spoken to by people that we know, Rory, saying that we have the money and we want to go ahead with buying Tottenham Hotspur. The idea that we don't have the money isn't true. We've raised the money and we can buy this football club. Now, the deal that they bought Newcastle for was worth £300 million. It's peanuts. The deal to buy Tottenham is like not peanuts. It's a lot, right? And where's the upside of 300 million for Newcastle is gargantuan, whereas the upside of 4 billion for Spurs is probably
even if it goes really well, how much more can you be worth?
Yeah, exactly. So all of that stuff, but they're still necessarily they are interested, and they do have the money. And Amanda Staveley has been making a point of this vocally and in public, which is to change the narrative.
That is obviously what you need. What have you given thought to being relegated, or have you just? Is it not something that you're even open to considering at the moment?
Yeah.
How damaging is it? Like what is it? Do you feel like you go and you're back in a year and you're almost? You know, some clubs, Newcastle United did it. You know, when they're having like a turgid time in the Premier League for years, and then they go to the Championship and it's like a spa break, and they come back all like reinvigorated. Do you feel like you do that, or do you feel like it's so damaging that
it's a couple of things. On a sporting level, the likelihood is yes, we'll rebound. Yeah, you get the financially, you're like a different world to everybody else in the league. Our B team is better than almost all of the Championship. And I know this because speaking to James Alcott, and he said Archie Gray 2 years ago for Leeds playing at right back was one of the best players in the league. He looked at I sent him over what would a potential lineup be which wouldn't survive in the Premier League, and he said that team walks the Championship. So if you take him at his word, you would assume we would come back up. But as a fan, no, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed. I think it's the reality is that why there's been a financial hit on the football club. If they return to the Premier League, they can turn things around. Their asset will be worth what it is. They can sell it. It'll all be fine. But as fans, you have to take this humiliation on the chin. We can't do anything about it but watch it happen. So no, in no way do I see this as a spa break. And I was watching. This is how sad it's got, Rory, and I'm sure you'll enjoy this, right? But I sat down on the sofa and I watched the highlights of the Championship, right? The highlights
to see how you'd get on.
Not just to culturally, what's it like? What are we going into? Like, what is it? And
it's like when you go on holiday. It's like when you book a holiday. You got to watch a travel vlog before you actually go on that holiday.
Yeah. It's a bit like that. And
I'm going to Marseille. Here's 10 things to do in Marseille. I'm going to the Championship. Here's 10 things you need to know about the Championship.
I looked at it. We'll be playing in half-empty stadiums all across the place. You play 46 games a week with zero enthusiasm. In no way would this be a positive thing if we went down. And I mean, there was a Newcastle fan who commented on a video that I did with Jim. And he said, "You think you have an idea about when it's down, but what it's like going down, but you get into January and it's freezing and it's cold and people have lost interest in your club. That's the reality."
Yeah. Also, playing against Tottenham becomes everyone's cup final. If you think your home form's bad this year, I can't. But do you know what, Flav? As well, do you know what I've just seen? TalkSport Bet have paid out on Tottenham being relegated.
Yeah, that's so that people like you mention it and bring it up and they go, "Oh, TalkSport Bet," and then let's bet on it, which helps you. I appreciate that, but
I can't. I just didn't think that it was like an actual possibility. I thought it was like a dream, almost a mirage.
Your dream.
But the more that I've spoken to it and speaking to you, it's barring some sort of drastic performance in your next game. Unless you get rid of Tudor, you're in big trouble, because Nuno Espirito Santo is a well-versed manager, good manager. I mean, Vitor Pereira has done it before.
Yeah.
Unless someone else gets sucked in. You need Leeds or someone to get sucked in.
Well, this is it. I mean, in terms of, you look at those 7-8 points we need, 7 or 8 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 po and I've just seen Glenn Hoddle offering himself to step in and save Tottenham. Like, Jesus, where are we?
Yeah, that's good. That's good, mate. Hang on.
No, it's about where we are, Rory. It's like
Glenn Hoddle. Look, well, oh my God, wait. When did Glenn Hoddle last manage? It'd be 20 years, right? Glenn Hoddle wouldn't have. Yeah, he wouldn't have been a manager for 20 years. But there is something to be said for bringing in. You need 3 wins. Carrick went into Manchester United. There was an upturn. Lampard went into Chelsea. There was an upturn. You just bring in somebody who knows the club. 3 wins is nothing for a club the size of Tottenham.
I know. And you're right. Maybe you should swap him for Hoddle now. I think Redknapp might be the answer with a young coach. Tottenham Forest. We got Forest at home after Liverpool. That's like a relegation.
That's a must-win game. That's a must-win game.
Obviously.
Mate,
Yeah.
I might go to that. If anyone can get me a ticket in the Forest end, I'm there.
Yeah, I'll help you do that. Yeah, why not? Sunderland away. You might get a point. We've got Brighton at home, Wolves away, which is not easy. Villa away, Leeds at home, Chelsea away, and then Tottenham at home. So
I can see where your wins come from, but if they don't come and you get relegated at Stamford Bridge, that will be all my Christmases at once. I sacrifice any sort of silverware in order to relegate Tottenham. Flav, an honour to talk to you, mate. This has been a very uplifting Monday morning for me.
Good for you, mate. I'm glad to be of service.
I really do appreciate it. Flav, thank you so much. And to everybody who's listened, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure that you check out Flav's podcast. It's brilliant Tottenham content. It's called The Fighting Cock. It is the best Tottenham podcast around. Flav, I really appreciate your time, mate, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks very much, everyone. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. In a bit. Ta-da.